Committee on Finance and Law will come to order. First is a roll call. Mr. Souza.
Are we on, Mcas? Yeah, we're on. Present.
And Mr. Fiore is present. The first item is student activities for Taunton High School for $20,562.43.
Student activity account, Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we replenish the amount of $20,562.43.
All right, the chair seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Use of facilities, we have a memo attached of a number of events that have been held at the various school facilities.
Mr. Chairman, I reviewed this, received and placed on file.
All right, chair seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Those
Aye.
opposed, the ayes have it. Then, bills payable. Fiscal 21, $12,554.97. Fiscal 22, $742,780.34.
Mr. Chairman, I've reviewed the warrants, bills payable for FY21 in the amount of $12,554.97, and the amount of FY22 in the amount of $742,780.34. Move approval as presented.
Okay, the chair seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so voted. Facilities update, Mrs. Moynihan.
Thank you, Mr. Fiore. Just a very quick one. We continue to work with the project team at Mulcahy Elementary School to continue with the punch list to, of course, finish up and round up the project. The Taunton Alternative High School, again, still, we are still awaiting some of the windows and doors that will be coming. So we're at the mercy of the shipping. So unfortunately, that's all I have. But that school is running fine over at Hopewell without any hiccups. And as you now are seeing throughout the schools, our groundskeepers have put in the snow stakes just in case we get ready for the upcoming winter season, and we will be ready, because you never know in New England.
I thought the Red Sox are still playing, so actually we're still in summer. Just wanted to let you know.
No, there's nothing better than fall baseball there, Mr. Souza.
Thank you, Ms. Moynihan. Sorry to interrupt. I appreciate
And
it.
October is a wonderful season, baseball.
Yes.
That's right.
Unfortunately, we're at the mercy of the contracting world under COVID. And I don't think there's any other facilities that we need to talk about at this moment, Mr. Chairman. Receive and placed on, just to thank you for the update. Are you going to jot that down?
Yep.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Chair seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? We're out of here.
Okay, we're going to stop right.
Call the meeting to order. If you could please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner
Lord, as we begin this session, let us acknowledge your goodness and mercy and ask your blessings on all our deliberations. We thank you for the opportunity to be of service to our community and to the young people entrusted to our care. We'd like to have a moment of silence also for Mark L. D'Souza, who was only 21 years old and passed away on October 2nd. Our condolences go out to his parents and his grandparents, and to his sister Alexandra and her husband Cameron Matoza, who are both teachers in the Taunton Public Schools. Please keep this family in your thoughts and in your prayers. A moment of silence. Thank you. And I'll do the roll call now, Mayor O'Connell, if that's okay.
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Doherty? Oh, I'm sorry.
We give you a little switch up on that.
I know, I said, where is she? Okay, Mr. Pulowski,
Here.
Mr. Fiore,
Present, and no disrespect to the flag, but I have an ulcer on my left foot, and I have to keep it raised, and so that's why I didn't stand.
all is forgiven, Mr. Fiore, thank you. Mrs. Fagan's present, Mr. Martin's absent, Mrs. Almeida, Mr. DeMello,
Present.
and Chairman Souza. Present. And Mayor O'Connell.
Present, thank you. Approval of the minutes from September 15th, 2021.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, so voted. We have the Student Council Advisory Committee report this evening, and with us is Hector Aponte, Natalie Duncan, and Ava Brooks, who will join us at the podium. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Whenever you're ready.
Hi, I'm Natalie Duncan, and I'm part of the Student Advisory Committee at Taunton High School. Earlier today, when we met with Mr. Holcomb, he informed us on his plan on a way to shed a positive light on Taunton High School. He plans to do a positive Twitter campaign with a hashtag like Taunton High Schools to allow teachers to respond to his tweet to enter into a raffle where they'll win some sort of prize at the end of every week. And also, it will allow as an opportunity for parents and other people of the community to see what positive things people have to say about Taunton High School. He also plans to, at some point in November or December, establish a monthly newsletter for Taunton High School so everyone can see all the positive things going on in every department at school. If it goes well this year, he plans on making it a bi-weekly thing next year. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you.
Hi, my name is Ava Brooks from the Student Advisory Committee. The Taunton High clubs are doing fantastic, especially the bigger clubs like DECA and Key Club. But the only problem is a lot of students at Taunton High are having trouble with transportation. So we at the Student Advisory Committee are trying to get a late bus to help the students at Taunton High get a ride home, because not all students have the opportunity to be a connected student, like we say a lot at Taunton High. So, yeah, that's happening.
Ava, would that be a GATRA bus that you're looking?
We're hoping Bloom.
Oh, okay, so that type of bus, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Hello, my name is Hector Aponte, and I'm a senior at Taunton High School. And we're about 6 weeks into the school year. We've started off really strong. Clubs, sports, our football team is doing really well, despite the tough loss to KP last week. But everyone's doing really good, all the clubs, like they mentioned. And despite the occasional things you guys may have heard that have occurred over the past few weeks, it seems as if that's catching kind of the spotlight when it shouldn't, because like Ava mentioned, we have a lot of things going on and that are doing really good, and we hope to kind of create a community within Taunton High School. After the pandemic, we're kind of in like a rebuild stage where the 8th graders and freshmen never really got a true opportunity to experience the high school pre-COVID. So we kind of want to build a community of almost like camaraderie, where everyone feels welcomed and kind of like brothers and sisters, where they can feel comfortable, ask questions, ask the upperclassmen can help the underclassmen, and kind of just everyone get along and understand why we're here, to get an education, to succeed, to learn. So I just wanted to inform you guys, and yeah, thank you for having us.
Okay, that's great, and it sounds like they're in good hands with wonderful reps like yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Okay. Okay, all set? Okay. Mr. DeMello?
Thank you, Mayor. So one of the students' concerns was the transportation after school. How do we address this going forward? I mean, I don't know if this also affects our sports, athletics, or is it just clubs? What's the next procedure?
Superintendent's looking into it. He just took some copious notes.
I'm sorry?
Superintendent Cabral is addressing that issue.
I spoke to him as Hector and Eva were up there. He's
Okay, so we'll be informed of what's going to be the
yeah,
next step.
he's gonna get back to us on exactly what the situation is and give us the update.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Okay, public input, Mr. Souza?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Public input, we have two people that would like to speak today in public input. I'd just like to remind the people that are going to speak that it's a 3-minute public input. The school committee does not respond. We refer all public input to administration for response. And I also know that this is a public meeting, so any information or confidential information that you release will be released because it's being televised. So I just wanted to let you know that for your own benefit. First person on the public input is Lisa Smith. And Ms. Smith, if you could come up, just hit the button and the green light will come on. And please give your name and address for the public record. The green, right in the middle of the green light will come on. Yep.
Okay. Lisa Smith, 592 Tremont Street in Taunton. Nicholas, I just want you to introduce yourself.
On Tremont Street.
All done wrong. My name is Nicholas
On
Watt.
Tremont Street.
Ready?
My address is 592 Tremont Street in Taunton, Massachusetts. I go to school at Cardinal Cushing Center.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let me go back and go sit. Thank you. You want to eat? Hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to speak today. I am Nick's mother, advocate, teacher. I also have 5 children. Some of them are adopted and some are in foster care to be pre-adopted. And Nicholas's birthday is October 11th. And, you know, as I was researching programs for Nicholas as he will become an adult, it's something that no parent is ready for. As I started to research, I came across many different laws and compensatory services that I believe that the school district could have had Nicholas, he could have benefited from them. I was calling for IEP meetings 6 or 7 times within the time where we were under pandemic. The laws were here. I shared them with the team, with the chair, and they assured me that Nicholas was not eligible for any of those services. As the guidance became clearer, I realized that my son never was able to access remote learning. After a month, still no academics, no learning whatsoever. I contacted the chair, the audit district, Superintendent Cabral, and they said it's Cardinal Cushing's responsibility. Now, Nicholas is considered probably 2% of the population with his severity of autism and epilepsy. He has a nurse with him throughout his day. He has a medicine that RN needs to have on her person. He has multiple seizures. Once she has a seizure, it doesn't stop. So here's a child who did not get any education whatsoever. Because he is in a placement, Cardinal Cushing in Hanover, where they have a residential, he was only able to access school 2 days, even when, school did go back for foster care, homelessness, and kids who didn't speak English, who were struggling in that area. So as I researched and contacted attorneys and the BSEA and all these different agencies that are set up to help parents like me, I started to see that it was very clear that Nicholas was able to access compensatory services. When I brought it to the attention, we had a date, September 23rd. As we approached the meeting, I had all of the regression that Nicholas had had. He had no ABA services, no speech, no OT. He had no remote learning, nothing. So it was my responsibility as his mom to educate him, and it was a difficult task. So I went to the meeting, and I said Nicholas should be getting compensatory services. He never used a remote. He cannot read, he cannot write. He is very, he's prompt dependent. He needs care 24 hours a day, as you can see. It seems to me, it's like deja vu. I was here 10 years ago. And I thought at this point, things would have been better. I started looking at the website, and I came across the Taunton High School mission. And it says, create a lifelong learner while providing equal access and opportunity. To all members of our school's community, to achieve this goal, communication with students, parents, administration, and staff is essential. Whether or not Nicholas is disabled, he is going to be part of our community. He is going to have to do something. He can't stay home all day. So I went to the meeting and I said, my son regressed greatly. They said, no, we already gave you what we could give you. We met our legal obligation. And when I heard those words, I thought to myself, is that all we are? A legal obligation? Is that what this community is about? No one ever asks at these meetings, how is Nick doing? How is his seizure disorder? Like, what are your plans for when he finishes school? Well, there aren't any, because there's no openings anywhere with Department of Developmental Services. As most of you know, at 22, he is no longer autistic, apparently. That's maybe another bill we need to address. But I'm here today to say that Nicholas, I got some information today from the Appeals Hearing Board, and I do have a date. And I know that there's language that's saying that Nicholas should be getting compensatory services. And I'm here today to ask and to educate people who may be in the same situation. I understand that he's not the only one, and he deserves an opportunity to learn, just like the Taunton, high school mission statement says. And honestly, I haven't felt like I ever had that here. Been here for 19 years, wondering, when is it going to change? When are people going to, when I look at the money, all the money that our community is going to get, I see the list. I've been researching it like it's my Bible. I know the law is probably better than some of the people who probably wrote them. And when I thought about it, nothing ever is in writing. When we have a child, a neurotypical child, college for neurotypical, we start talking about that at 16 years old. Where is the opportunity for Nicholas and kids like Nicholas to start transitioning? We have to file for paperwork 688 transition plan when they're 14. There has never been any transitional plan made for my son. He lost social emotional time. He never went out in the community at school. When is it going to change? When will we have a person in the district that knocks on doors? Because I did that. When they said they didn't have any programs, I said, I'm going to go find some. And I went on people's doors, Special Olympics, gymnastics. You know, my typical kids, the same places. I said, let's, there's such a need in this community for this population. And I just hope that, you know, some of that budget money or some of that federal funding will eventually go to kids like Nick who need it. And, you know, I hope that we can work together as a team, because you know what? There's really no team. There's 10 people around the table, one person for Nick, and everyone else is for the school district. How is that even fair? Anyway, I would like to, you know, just my ending statement here is, you know, to consider looking at the law, and, you know, I'm willing to sit down, have a resolution, a mediation before I go to hearing, and I just hope that, you know, the district does the right thing for my family and for Nicholas. Thank you so much. And Jade is going to come up and say a few things.
Thank you. Next person is Jada Demanis. Come on up. You have to say 3 minutes or so. Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
I push this, right?
Yeah, the little green button will come on. Then name and address for the public record.
My name is Jada Dimenez, and I live on 592 Tremont Street. Okay.
Is the green light on?
Yes,
You're all set. You have to turn it up.
it's on. Okay. Do I have to say it again? During the COVID pandemic, our whole family struggled consistently. I was a person who had the best grades and was one of the few people who worked right off my IEP. I went from all A's to getting D's and F's from remote learning. If it was difficult for me understanding remote learning, how do you think Nicholas feels not being able to access it and not being provided any remote learning? Not only was he stir crazy, he was behavioral. The past 3 months, he has been waking up at night asking if he is going to school. My poor brother had a traumatic time. Nicholas had multiple episodes and seizures. There was no way remote learning for him was happening. I can't even imagine my older brother not being in school. Nick can't even stay a day or two without having any behaviors. Why hasn't anyone thought about Nicholas? Why haven't you put yourself in our shoes? They prepare us for college. Why aren't you providing these children with an opportunity to be in school too?
Thank you, Jada.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, the public input has ended.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we will move on to the superintendent's report. Superintendent Cabral?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everyone. In front of you, or in your packet, you have my superintendent's report. So I'd like to start off by beginning my superintendent's report and acknowledging some great work that has taken place throughout our school system, in particular the middle schools and our high school. So the Taunton Public Schools was recently recognized by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and also by a national agency called Standards Work. On September 15th and 16th, representatives from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education visited the Taunton Public Schools as part of their Curriculum Matters Massachusetts campaign. The visit to the Taunton Public Schools kicked off a series of tours planned by DESE to highlight the work of school systems that are in the process of adopting and implementing high-quality instructional materials. With the implementation of high-quality instructional materials, Taunton is part of a nationwide shift centered on providing students and staff with the latest and greatest evidence-based, research-based curriculum materials. In Taunton, DESE and Standards Work celebrated the implementation of Open SciEd in our middle schools and is also being piloted in our high school. The Taunton Public Schools was an early adopter of the evidence-based science curriculum and was also a test district for the state. Open SciEd is an open-source, high-quality, research-based set of instructional materials designed to increase accessibility for all teachers and students. The materials use a storyline approach that is driven by student questions to investigate a phenomenon. Open SciEd aims to provide teachers with the materials and support that will get all learners excited and curious about the world around them and confident in their ability to shape it through questioning, investigating, and problem solving. Massachusetts is a partner in the Open SciEd Consortium and has supported and guided the development of the materials since its inception. During a span of 3 years, 80-plus middle school educators have piloted the materials and provided feedback to the developers. The Taunton Public Schools is excited to partner with DESE and Open SciEd. Currently, the Open SciEd is being field tested at Taunton High School, and we believe will result in high-quality curriculum in the areas of biology, chemistry, physics, and elementary science units. I want to recognize the teachers, the administrators, the parents, and the school committee members, especially our curriculum science coordinator, Elizabeth Pulowski, Assistant Superintendent Chris Barata, and Principals Danielle Kurt and Principal Scott Holcomb for their support and implementation of Open SciEd. Next, I'd like to just congratulate and thank everyone for the outstanding work that took place and that went into dedicating the Oakland Educational Complex to former Mayor Richard Johnson. On September 23, 2021, the Oakland Educational and Community Complex was officially dedicated to former Taunton Mayor Richard Johnson. Johnson had served as Taunton's mayor from 1982 to 1992. Prior, he held the director positions in Taunton's Recreation and Housing Department. Many from the past and present were in attendance to honor the former mayor and his family. Those in attendance included elected officials representing Taunton and Massachusetts. In addition to the dignitaries in attendance, friends and family from the Johnson family also gathered to pay tribute to the former mayor. The program included welcome address by School Committee Chairman David Souza and a stonework unveiling by Dick Johnson and his family. Our mayor also provided comments. School Committee member and State Representative Carol Doherty also provided comments. Overall, it was an outstanding dedication. Throughout Johnson's nearly 3 decades of public service to the city of Taunton, education was one of his hallmark initiatives. The former mayor is credited with implementing many advancements, which included curriculum improvements in all disciplines, a comprehensive health curriculum for grades K through 12, a more hands-on approach to science and mathematics, state-of-the-art equipment for the business department at Taunton High School, drug education, computer labs, and much, much more. Johnson's work has left a lasting impact on the city of Taunton and our educational system that will be felt for decades to come. Again, a special thank you to everyone who worked behind the scenes to help make this day an extraordinary event for the Johnson family and our community. I'd like to give special thanks to Wendy Devine and Donna Binns for helping with the program, to Brenda Moynihan, our groundskeepers and stores keepers for doing all the logistical work, for Chris Barata and my leadership team for being on site to address and provide additional support. Also want to recognize Danielle Peterson, the Freeman principal, Danielle Kurt, the Freeman principal, Jennifer Peters, the Chamberlain principal, as well as our food service department, again, groundskeepers and storekeepers, for all the effort and time that they put into making that a memorial event. I also want to make the public aware that DESE has released the 2021 Mcas results. In late September, Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education released statewide scores for MCAS testing that took place in the spring of 2021. Major conclusions found that students in previous years have gaps in knowledge in the areas of mathematics and English language arts. Combined with our strategic plan and an accelerated approach, the Taunton Public Schools will utilize federal and state funding to close these learning gaps. As expected, the pandemic clearly disrupted the school year and impacted academic achievement throughout the Commonwealth. Based on state-level scores for 2021, the overall percentage of grade 3 through 8 students who scored meeting expectations or higher in English language arts was 46% and 33% for math, both dropping from 2019, most recent testing administered before 2021. However, in the 10th grade, the data indicated the opposite. 64% of those tested scored meeting expectations or higher in ELA compared to 61% in 2019. The MCAS tests administered in the spring provide critical insight into where our students did not progress academically. Using this data, our administrators and staff can identify areas where extra support is needed. Utilizing formative assessments administered in the spring, the Taunton Public Schools developed summer programs targeting specific student needs. This work will continue into the school year as principals begin working with their school community to develop their school improvement plans. School improvement plans will be aligned to the Taunton Public Schools strategic plan. In addition to having strategic alignment, plans will also target student academic, social, emotional, and mental health. Families should also begin to receive their students' MCAS scores after September 30th. We also want to remind families that the MCAS is only one measure of a child's growth and development. So a skew in scores due to the pandemic should be taken lightly. State and local testing results can also be found on the DESE website. And last but not least, I just want to inform the committee, as I did early last week, that the Commissioner, Jeffrey Riley, did extend the mask mandate through November 1st, 2021. And last but not least, I do want to share a superintendent's talking point. I want to draw your attention to a $5,000 check that was presented to the school and staff and students here at EPOL. So one of their community partners, a future business partner we hope, is the Burlington Coat Factory. So during their grand opening, they presented Principal Bella Jones with a $5,000 check to be utilized in this school. And I also wanted to point out that what we placed on your desk is something that Principal Holcomb and his staff took the initiative to hold a voter registration on September 28th, 2021. I plan to have a more detailed analysis of the work that Principal Holcomb overtook with his staff in a future superintendent's report. So with that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Kroll. Mrs. Doherty?
Two questions, one relating to MCAS. You will be presenting to the school committee the full MCAS results as we have received in the past.
Correct. I believe it's on our planner, and I think it was scheduled for December. Correct, Mr. Barata?
I believe so.
Did you say December?
Correct.
Is that late for us?
Not
I don't remember when.
Not necessarily. It's usually done late November, early December.
Okay, thank you very much. And the other is, so the voter registration drive, thank you very much to Interim Principal Holcomb for conducting that voter registration drive. Is there going to be another one? We're in that funny period before the municipal election. Is there time to do another voter registration drive?
I'll have to follow up with Principal Holcomb, again, as this was an initiative that he undertook with his student body and staff. And if there's any updates, I'll communicate that to the school board.
Great. And is it possible after the election to report the statistics about how many young people registered to vote, to see if the effort was worth it?
I'll see if Principal Holcomb has that information, or if he can retrieve that information from the registration department or from the city who was conducting the early voter registration.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Farrell.
Thank you. Mr. DeMello?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess Ms. Doherty kind of asked my question, but statistically speaking, on the voter registration day, we will have knowledge of how many students actually took advantage of it. Is that correct, Mr. Cabral?
I will ask that question to see if we can ascertain that information either from the high school or from City Hall or from the voter registration office.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, is there a motion to accept the report?
So moved.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, so voted. Mr. Souza?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to get, there's really, we don't have a spot here for communication, so I just wanted to, because this also had to do with the Richard Johnson dedication at the Oakland Complex, I wanted to read you, we received a communication from former Mayor Johnson. Dear members of the school committee, with sincere gratitude, we thank you for moving the dedication for Dick forward and got it done. Thank you for your time, efforts, and consideration. Dick and Karen Johnson. I'd also personally, on behalf of the school committee, thank the administration, the leadership team, superintendent, Megan Mcas, all of Brenda's people, all of Chris's people, just all the people that were involved in that. You all made us look real good that day. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I greatly appreciate it on behalf of this committee. It was just an amazing day, that's all I'll say. And I just have one other item here, just bear with me just for a minute. I know that back on Convocation Day, the superintendent presented the outgoing school committee members, myself, Ms. Doherty, and Mrs. Almeida did not attend the convocation. Ms. Doherty with a appreciation plaque on behalf of the administration and the school department. And right now, because the superintendent doesn't want to get into any trouble, on behalf of the administration and the school committee, I'd like to present this award plaque to Josephine Almeida, 1986-2021, her service on the school committee, and I'd like to present this to her now.
Well, we're all grateful for your lifetime of dedication to our children.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, I'm done.
Thank you. Okay, administrative business, anything on the staffing report?
Wishes of the committee?
Received and placed on file.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed? So voted. And the Reed's Collaborative Quarterly Report.
Same procedure.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed? So voted. Okay, thank you. Subcommittee reports, Finance and Law Subcommittee, Mr. Fiore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Finance and Law Committee met this evening with myself and the chair and Mr. Souza. Mr. Martin was absent this evening. First of all, we approved a reimbursement of the student activities account at Taunton High School in the amount of $20,562.43. We accepted a memo of use of facilities. We approved bills payable for fiscal year 21 of $12,554.97 and fiscal year 22 of $742,780.34. And we received a facilities update from Mrs. Moynihan. Primarily, we are still awaiting building materials for the alternative high school, and we're hoping to have that completed sometime this winter. And the committee adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Fiore.
Motion to accept the report and adopt the recommendations of the subcommittee.
Motion made and seconded. On discussion, Mr. DeMello.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see, I have my notes here somewhere. On the voucher, oh boy, we got a lot of paper hanging around here. Sorry about that. I respectfully to ask my colleagues that I vote present on page 15, and that is voucher number 16532 in the amount of $999. And I also have a question on page 33 through you, Mayor, to either Mrs. Monahan or Mr. Cabral. The University of Massachusetts Boston 3290, it's labeled as dual enrollment. What is that actually for?
What we have here, we had 7 students from Taunton High School participate in a distance learning or dual enrollment, as you did say, with UMass Boston, where they participated in 45 hours in a Latin class.
Okay, great. So does that mean that we also pay the other universities locally for dual enrollment, like Bridgewater State or Bristol Community College?
This one here, we do not have the accreditation that we normally have with with BCC and Bridgewater and also UMass Dartmouth, so it's a little different. And I would refer that more to my colleague.
I can take that, Mr. DeMello. So with BCC, UMass Dartmouth or Bridgewater, we have in the past covered at a reduced rate or reduced credit rate the courses for our students to participate in dual enrollment courses, as well as cover the books using the Title IV grant.
So it's just my concern that we some of these universities, or in this case UMass Boston's, getting paid for something while the other ones are not. Is that what this means? No.
No. Sorry if I wasn't clear. So yes, we have paid BCC, UMass Dartmouth, Bridgewater State. I'd have to research because I'm in the process of connecting with Bridgewater State right now to see if we can expand our offerings. But in the past, we have paid the universities to run dual enrollment courses for our students, as well as the Taunton Public Schools has covered books in order to provide students with more college opportunities.
Okay, I just want to be fair and equitable to all our state institutions because they're all state institutions, so that's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you. So there's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, so voted. New business, Fall River Public Schools join the South Coast Educational Collaborative.
Yep. So thank you. In your packet, you may see some documents for those who were here or on the school board about 12 years ago when Taunton joined the South Coast Collaborative. So we provided you with some backup, and I'm happy to report that the Fall River Public Schools, and if you look at the map on the third document, you see that we provided you with a map of all the schools that make up South Coast Collaborative. And you'll notice right in the heart of Bristol County that Fall River is not part of the collaborative. So Fall River has voted, their school board voted to join the collaborative. And as a superintendent, I believe having urban schools as part of the collaborative is extremely beneficial, not only to Taunton, but as well as the smaller surrounding rural or suburban communities, because we are able to build additional capacity, able to provide additional services to students on a larger scale. So there is a motion that Chairman Souza will vote. There is action required by this committee to approve allowing Fall River to join, or the Fall River Public Schools to join South Coast Collaborative.
If the committee wishes to approve this, this is the motion. I move that the Fall River Public Schools join the South Coast Educational Collaborative as a member with full benefits, privileges, and responsibilities, and subject to the terms and conditions of the collaborative agreement, approval by the Department of Education, and subject to applicable Commonwealth rules and regulations. I further move that the chairman of the school committee is authorized, on behalf of the committee, to execute all appropriate documentation to commensurate the committee's decision. I further acknowledge the superintendent of schools will serve as the district representative of on the collaborative's board of directors.
Mr. Cabral?
And there were two things I forgot to mention too. So this will not impact our tuition rates. So our tuition rates will continue to increase at the adjusted COLA rates on a year-to-year basis, which is usually between 2 to 3%. What this will do is allow Fall River to receive the benefit over several years, the reduced tuition rate that member districts receive. So that's all this will do. So our rates, and that was the first question I asked, how does this impact the Taunton Public Schools and our ability to send students to South Coast? So our rates will not increase, and their rates will gradually reduce to equal what all members are paying.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cabral. So is there a motion? Anyone that wants to make that motion?
So move, Mrs. Dory, make a motion.
Motion as stated, is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
We should do a roll call vote on this.
On a roll call vote, please, Mrs. Fagan?
Yes, Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Mr. Pawlowski?
Yes.
Mr. Fiore?
Yes.
Mrs. Fagan votes yes. Mrs. Almeida? Mr. DeMello?
Yes.
And Mr. Souza.
Yes.
7, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Unfinished business. Naming of James L. Mulcahy Elementary School Media Center. Mr. Cabral? or-
Yeah, we'll go Mr. Cabral first, and then I can help him out.
Okay.
So, thank you, Madam Mayor, Chairman Souza. So in your packet, I provided you with some information. I provided you with a letter as well as some testimony that I believe we received about 2 years ago. And also provided you with our policy with regards to naming school facilities. So on Wednesday, March 20, 2019, the school board received public input from many constituents regarding naming the soon-to-be Hopewell Mulcahy School construction project. So in addition to the testimony, community stakeholders submitted suggestions in writing to my office as well as to Chairman Souza regarding what they felt would be an appropriate name for the new school. What made that challenging was that both schools were embedded with a deep, rich history in their respective neighborhoods and in our community. The committee, this group, was tasked with honoring both school communities, knowing the challenges and wide range of emotions associated with that task. There was a very lengthy discussion that evening, and the committee voted to name the new facility the James L. Mulcahy Elementary School in honor of James L. Mulcahy. Now, we know that James L. Mulcahy was a member of the Taunton High School class in 1934. He returned to Taunton after studying at the University of Notre Dame and taught English at Taunton High School. And he was inducted into the Army in 1942 as a lieutenant, and he led his troops into 4 significant battles where he died in defense of our great country in 1942 and was awarded with the Purple Heart in 1944. Also during that meeting, the committee heard testimony from the families of beloved Taunton Public School educators Janet B. Camo, Edward J. Castle, and Haiti C. Cunningham. Based on the merits of each family's testimony, we could easily make a case for justifying the naming of the new facility on behalf of their loved ones. I have included again their testimony by each family as a reminder of what was shared with us that evening. So per the policy FF, naming new facilities, the committee has the authority to approve naming and renaming buildings, structures, and facilities located on school property. The committee also has the power to name subsections of existing structures or facilities such as classrooms, auditoriums, and gymnasiums. The naming policy also states that when appropriate, to name or dedicate a new school or related school property, structure, or facility approaches, an orderly procedure will be communicated. The committee's agenda should also reflect the intent to consider, review, and vote on naming opportunities. The committee, in my opinion, I believe the committee met their obligation as stated in School Committee Policy FF, naming new facilities, in School Committee Policy FFR, naming of new school facility procedures. The committee performed their due diligence by seeking suggestions for names. The committee provided public notice and required that all recommendations be submitted in writing with the proposed legal title and a narrative giving the reasons for offering said name. During the meeting, the committee carefully considered all submissions, received public input before deciding, and carefully debated and selected a name within the allotted time frame before ultimately voting to name the facility in honor of James L. Mulcahy. As a result of holding the meeting on March 20, 2019, the committee had planned to revisit naming other areas of the school at the end of construction. Unfortunately, due to many factors, it was decided that the committee would review this matter during the 2021-2022 school year. The committee has followed the policy, and I believe it is within the control of the committee to name subsections of the James L. Mulcahy School in honor of the three individuals referenced in paragraph 3, Janet B. Como, Edward J. Castle, and Haiti C. Cunningham. While acknowledging the right of the committee to name a subsection or multiple sections, I would recommend, and again, this is just my recommendation, but I would recommend that the committee honor the three individuals by dedicating the James L. Mulcahy Library Media Center in their honor. As stated earlier, based on the merits of each family's testimony, a case could be made justifying the naming of the new facility, let alone a new subsection in honor of their loved one for their contribution to the Taunton Public Schools. Despite having varying roles in our school system, their contributions to our school system, along with their love for the Hopewell Elementary School and James L. Mulcahy School, cannot be disputed. All have had a tremendous impact in our school system in their respective schools. By approving this recommendation, I believe the committee will have honored what they have set out to do, which is to merge the history of both the Hopewell Elementary and the former James L. Mulcahy School into one inclusive school. So this is an opportunity for the school board to practice something that we have preached, something that's part of our strategic plan to be an inclusive district. And if we continue to adhere to the practices of the past, we're only going to continue to perpetuate what we've done in the past. And here's an opportunity to do something that is all-encompassing and reflective of our community.
Thank you, Mr. Cron. Mrs. Almeida?
Thank you. And I also do believe that Mr. Martin, he's not here tonight, made a motion that we look into what areas of Hopewell and what areas of Mulcahy were named after different people and combine it into the new school. If we look at the Hopewell School Library was dedicated to Mr. Castle years ago. And I feel that all three people deserve some recognition. However, the library itself should be named after Mr. Castle. We can put a computer center in the library after, another person, put another area like we did in this library after somebody else. But to have three names on the library itself, I don't feel that I can really support that, where the library was already named for Mr. Castle, who was a very dedicated principal and employee for years in the Taunton Public School, as well as these other two individuals. But once you give something to someone, I don't think it's fair to take it away from them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mrs. Doherty?
So, excuse me, thank you, Mayor. To the superintendent, what is it, superintendent, that you have in mind in terms of this dedication? Because I understand that you've outreach to the families to talk about, at least one of the three anyway, to talk about what your vision is. Would you share that with us, please?
Yeah, actually, I've spoken with all three families, and all three families have been very respectful and very receptive. And they have raised questions, and some families do feel that their loved one is more deserving than the others, and I can respect and understand that. So the vision, when you walk into the Library Media Center at the Mulcahy School, there is a wall as soon as you walk in that we would create a large wall mural that would reflect the history of both the Mulcahy School and the Hopewell School as part of the mural, and that we would have portraits designed as part of the mural to honor the three individuals, and that we would also, I also asked the families if they would provide us with a quote or a saying that they believe is reflective of their loved one, or maybe their loved one had a quote that they were known for, similar to what we did with Dick Johnson, and that would be incorporated into the mural upon entrance. And on the left-hand side of the mural, there is a glass display area that was meant to be the STEM display area. I thought it would be appropriate to have some historical artifacts or some memorabilia reflective or in honor of the three individuals, so that the students, the staff, the public, when they enter the library, they can get a look into the life or look into what made up or what those individuals would be remembered for moving forward. So we want to reflect and honor the individuals, but also the history and what they stood for.
If I might, so Mrs. Almeida raised the point, and we did talk about it some time ago, about looking at other areas in the school that had been dedicated to other people, not just Mr. Castle, but others. So did we do that? I'm not aware that there were, but other areas dedicated to other people, but nonetheless.
I can say that we have gone ahead and I've asked all principals to look into their schools and confirm if there have been any areas that have been dedicated to community members or families. And we are, of course, in the middle of many difficult projects. And so, again, please know that that is still something we are working on. And I will have that information to the committee in the very near future once I have all the principals confirm the areas that I have already on a spreadsheet.
Thank you. If I might go on, I had heard from one of the families that there was going to be a dedication in a couple of weeks. I thought that was kind of impossible to do, but nonetheless, we want to clarify that.
I would like to have a dedication once we have named a center, similar to what we did with the Dick Johnson family, what we did for Ed Texera and his family at Parker. So I think it would be appropriate, once the facility is named, that we invite the families, invite the community, invite the public, and hold a dedication to honor the memory of those loved ones.
So are you putting forward this proposal, if you will, for the design of the space that's going to be dedicated to the three individuals before the committee for a vote? Is that your intention?
Well, I would like to share the mural design that the high school is working on with me, with the families, and as well as with the school committee, so you can get an idea of what we are trying to accomplish to honor and to really pay respect and pay homage to those individuals.
So I'm sorry, so do you want the answer, but do you
Oh,
want a vote from us?
So we'll need a motion to approve the recommendation, and then he's going to go ahead and then he'll come back with a rendering of what that would look like, and probably, I don't even think a dedication would be till next year sometime, beginning of the second quarter. Maybe.
It's not a recommendation, it's the vote of the school committee. That's our vote.
Mrs. Almeida, I'm just, it's a vote of the school committee. I just say the recommendation that's on the paper has the motion stated, and so we can make any motion we would like, but I am just specifically reading from the paper that was printed with all of the backup documentation, that's all.
Thank you. Mr. DeMello?
Thank you, Mayor. So we can't have a celebration without a motion. So hereby, I make a motion that we name the James L. Mulcahy Library Media Center in honor of Janet B. Carmo, Edward J. Castle Sr., and Hattie C. Cunningham. That's my motion.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Just on this, just on
Oh, I'm
discussion.
sorry. Continue discussion.
So we still also have the, Mrs. Moynihan's still gonna come back with those other spaces, right? Any other spaces that were dedicated in either school?
I will have a comprehensive list of all schools in the district with the designated areas.
Okay.
Yeah, this, just to be clear, Mayor, this is the James L. Mulcahy Library Media Center only, the name of these three folks. Thank you.
I wanted to get that clarification.
Correct.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Noble.
Okay, so there is a motion and a second. Mr. Fiore, do you have your hand up, or you?
Yes, just wanted to speak in favor of the motion. These three people all have significant meaning to me. I went to school with Mrs. Cunningham's children, and Mrs. Carmo and Mr. Castle were both very dear friends of mine for many years. And I approve of honoring them.
Thank you, Mr. Fiore. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, so voted. Next is hiring timeline for the Director of Special Education. Any comments on that?
Yeah, it's just more for information, and I know some of you or some of our board members have already come by to review the resumes or the applications that are on file. So Dr. Butts provided you with a cover letter. We provided you with a makeup of the screening committee and the different groups that they represent, and we've also provided you with a timeline. So this is the timeline. If you do plan to come into the office and review the applications, you will be asked to complete a confidentiality agreement, and we've also provided you with a rubric. So if you have any questions regarding the process, please do not hesitate to reach out to Dr. Butts or my office, and we will answer all your questions.
Thank you. Next is the action item review. Any items on that?
Madam Mayor?
Mr. Souza?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If you look at the action items, we can strike 8/19/20, the naming of the media center at James L. Mulcahy. We just voted on that, and the administration will notify us. And then also the 3/17/21 dedication of the Oakland complex to the former mayor. I think we can strike both of those. I'd just like to have a motion on that.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Discussion.
I have a question.
Ms. Doherty.
So I have a question on the first one, the long-range planning and school property subcommittee, the work on
Okay,
the.
let me strike these and we'll go back to that.
Oh, all right, sure.
Yeah. Is this on the motion, Mr. DeMello? I'm sorry. Did you have your hand up? For another thing? Okay, I'm sorry. On the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Ms. Doherty and Mr. DeMello.
Yeah, so the question is, when this recommendation by the long-range planning and school property subcommittee was made, there were other recommendations that were made at the same time. And one of those recommendations was to take a look at the then-closed Taunton nursing home as a possible location for administrative offices and other utilization of that space. Early in the summer, I believe, and I look at Mrs. Moynihan because she was the lead person in having a few of us take a tour of of the nursing home, and with the plans that were made that might be the renovated nursing home. So of course, I'm looking for an update on that, and you may not be ready to do that. You might want to do it at the next meeting, which would be fine, about whether or not that project, given that we have resources maybe available to do some of that work, whether or not that's even going to go forward, or if you have abandoned that idea.
I can provide an update at the next school committee meeting.
So you're going to do
Thank
an update next meeting. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Mr. DeMello?
Yes, Mayor, quickly. On the last action item request regarding the procurement card, I know we're waiting to align with the new folks that are being hired at the city side, but it dawned upon me this evening, and I approached Mrs. Moynihan, in our warrants, we usually have a Home Depot credit card services payment that we approve month after month. I don't see one on this warrant, but I'm trying to figure out how we were able to get a credit card from Home Depot, and we're still trying to work on the procurement card. So
I don't know how you were able to get a credit card.
I'm sorry?
Are you asking me that?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know how you were able to get a credit card from Home Depot.
I'm sorry?
I do not know how you were able to get a credit card.
Right, so maybe the history of before I was even on the board, how that came about?
Yeah,
Mr. Cabral, Mrs. Moynihan, either one.
I believe that happened under my watch. So with Home Depot is an approved state vendor, I believe on the state contract or on one of those national contracts that I signed Taunton up to participate for. So I'd have to go back and refresh my memory on school finance law. I believe the difference between a procurement card and a store credit card, with the store credit card, it was as if we were using a vendor or another company, whereas with the procurement card, it would be a credit card and it would have multiple names of multiple individuals. So the Home Depot card does not have an individual name on it. It has the Taunton Public Schools, and those credit cards, or that credit card is held in the office or with the storekeepers or with the groundskeepers, and they cannot utilize those cards, similar to a P card, without the authorization. So I believe that's where the difference may lie in why the treasurer or the auditors back then, again, we're talking 10, 12 years, Mr. DeMello, and there's been a lot of change on the city side, why they were approved then. And I do know when I have brought up a procurement card several times when I was the business manager. And it was either via the superintendent at the time or the city at the time did not want to approve going forward with a P card. But that's something that we'll continue to work with the city, because I do believe there are many benefits. And with some procurement cards, there also is a rebate that goes back to the school department or possibly goes back to the city, depending on how it's structured. So it is advantageous, and it does help to expedite payments for people who make payments out of pocket.
Yeah, exactly, and that was my next point, that as director of travel at the university, with the millions of dollars that we spend in travel, there is a rebate that comes back to university, because it's one centralized spend, whatever you call it, credit card or procurement card. So I know the mayor is on top of this, and maybe we can eliminate the Home Depot card once we get the P card and just do one form of payment and get some rebates, right, Mayor?
We hope to have our procurement office set up soon.
Thank you.
Okay, so, is there anything else on that? All set, okay. Press time? Okay. And is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, so voted. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.